we loved her poems, and I know you're a poem too, because you are a poem.
Thank you.
A poet, excuse me, but you are a poem. But because I've listened to some YouTubes and some things that you've written, and really enjoyed them. And so I wanted to give you first a chance to introduce yourself. And we're having a film come to the Evergreen State College campus, I think, at the Longhouse.
That's right. Yes. So, thank you very much for inviting me. My name's Ellen Marie Hinchcliffe, and I'm happy to be here. Got a little lost on the way, but I found my way. So I graduated from Evergreen in 1998, and it's exciting to be back with this film. I've been working on this film now off and on in different ways for a couple of years, and I finished it in November. And so this is the first screening outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I'm from. So it's exciting to have it play somewhere else. And it's going to be at the Longhouse. Is it the Longhouse Education Center? Is that the name of the space?
I'm not sure what the room is, but it's the Longhouse. It's as you go into the campus, it's everyone. It's Evergreen Longhouse. It's 2800 Evergreen Parkway, Northwest, Olympia, Washington 98506. And there is maps. If you go on to evergreen.edu and type in Longhouse, they have beautiful maps that show you.
You can find your way.
Yes.
So it's going to be this Wednesday at 6 p.m. It's free. It's open to anyone who would like to come and see the film. The film's about an hour long, and then hopefully we can have a conversation afterwards because Paula is a very rich thinker, and the experience of spending an hour with her ideas and thoughts really sparks a lot for people. So there could be a very rich conversation after the film as well.
She definitely thought out of the box.
She was a big thinker, and I think naming the film in honor of Thought Woman, Spider Woman, who created reality by thinking, really spoke to that idea of Paula as someone who always pushed thoughts and always pushed people to think bigger, not to be afraid of trying to really think in different ways. We're in a very tight situation in the world that we live in, and we need more thinking, more critical thinking, more big thinking, more dreaming. So I think this film is coming at a perfect time for people, because we have a lot that we're working on, and I think her ideas and her writing, her energy can be a really important part of those conversations that people want to have. That was one of my inspirations for making the film, was to really spend some energy on putting out more about who she is, so that people would, either if they already know her work, if sort of a celebration and kind of a deeper place, or introducing her to people maybe that have not yet engaged with her. She was a poet and a essay writer. She wrote an amazing novel. She kind of did it all. So whatever kind of writing you're interested in, you can find some Paula Gunn Allen that you're going to like.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, how did you get introduced to Paula, and how did that all start?
Yeah, I had been reading her for years, and she's definitely a dense, like, to read her is challenging. She takes work. She's not an easy read because her ideas are very complicated and she builds. So I love her writing, but I heard a radio interview with her on New Dimensions. So it's a little shout out for the power of radio, because there she was on the radio on New Dimensions, which is a great program. And she was talking. It was about an hour interview. And I listened to it like 10 times because it really took some time, some of those ideas. And so I had been carrying that respect and love for her work, and found her ideas to really push me and think deeper about things. And I read her book Off Reservation, which is a collection of essays, which I highly recommend. Excellent, excellent book of essays. And then I read her final major work, which was a retelling of the Pocahontas story, which I think is a great, for anyone who's interested in history, it completely flips even how we look at history. And it's just an amazing book, because she's asking people to think about, not just to think about the Pocahontas story from a different perspective, but really from a whole different worldview, which is something that we can always use more of in this country.
She was really good at that.
Yeah, really big part of who she was flipping that and asking people to look in a different way. So after I read that book, I heard that she had experienced a terrible fire, and she kind of lost everything in this fire in her home in Fort Bragg, California. And there were people raising money just to try to help her get back on her feet. And so my mother and I had made a donation to that. And then there was a blog post that she had just written kind of about dealing with it. And at the end of the blog post was her email address. And so I was like, oh, that's Paula Gunn Allen's email address. I'm going to write to her. And I did. And
Fate.
it was kind of amazing. And I just wrote, and it was really almost off the top of my head. I was like, has anyone ever made a film about you? And I was very nervous when I wrote it, and I looked it over like 3 times. Does this sound right? And I sent it off. I said this little prayer of just like, here it goes into the universe. And I opened my eyes and I looked back at what I had just sent, and I had actually written it to Paul instead of Paula. So it sort of started this humor between us, because I had to write back immediately and be like, I know your name is Paula, not Paul.
She probably thought that was hysterical.
She thought it was really funny, and she wrote back almost immediately. I think it was 15 minutes. And we started emailing back and forth, and we talked on the phone a couple times. And I think the 3rd time on the phone, she was like, I just think you should come stay with me, which is so Paula. Her generosity and her openness was amazing. And so I bought a plane ticket and flew out to California, and I spent, I think it was over a week. I think it was 8 nights with her. And we did a lot of filming. We did a lot of talking. She did a lot of talking. She could really talk. I can talk, but she could really talk. And we did some interviews. And she wasn't well. Like, she was struggling with her health even then. And I knew that, but I don't think she was also kind of hiding maybe how sick she really was. So I left, and we had plans to do more filming, and she wanted to go to New Mexico, where she was from, and she had big plans. We were going everywhere. She's like, we're going to go to England. We're going to go to New Mexico. And unfortunately, she joined the Ancestors about 8 months later. So it was a really hard loss, but it was kind of an amazing time that I did have this opportunity to start this project and have those interviews. And that's a big part of the film that weaves through the whole film are these interviews that we did over the course of that week. So
that's real exciting, and I like some of the images that you were shown, and we talk a little bit about what we're gonna see when we talk.
So after Paula died, I contacted her daughter, and her daughter is just like her. She also invited me out to California, and I spent a week with her, and she's an amazing singer. And so her music is in the piece, and she's also in it. I did some interviews with her. And then Paula's granddaughter, she has a couple of grandchildren, but her oldest granddaughter is an incredible visual artist, just amazing work. And I have not met her face to face. We weren't able to do that. But she's also in the piece. She recorded a piece of some of Paula's writing for me and sent it to me so I could incorporate her into the piece. And then her visual art is really woven throughout the entire piece. So I really love that there's these 3 generations of these amazing artists, and all finding their own expression, different kinds of artists. But that's a big part of the film. I have a couple other writers and performers that read some of her work. Sharon Day, who's an amazing, I think maybe that's how we got connected somehow, but she's is based in Minnesota and is a Ojibwe woman and does the water walks, Mother Earth water walks, and she sings with the Nakanas Women Singers. She was really a huge part of this coming together, very supportive, and also allowed me to use their music. So there's a lot of singing in this film, which Paula would like. There's a lot of music, and and Sharon also reads one of her poems. So it's a very collaborative piece. I felt like it was one of those things where the more it came together, people just kept coming out to help make it happen. And that was, Paula was very open about me making this film, and she didn't have a lot of things that she said had to happen. I think we built trust. She understood that I had a good grasp on maybe what I was trying to do. But the one thing she said was she didn't want to seem isolated, and she didn't want to be plucked out of this idea, even though she was living alone at that point, and, you know, she just felt like she wanted it to be clear that she's part of a larger community and connections. And so I feel like that I wanted to honor that. And I feel like I honored that by all these people coming and being involved, and her daughter and her granddaughter putting art in the piece. And so I'm very happy about that aspect of it.
Absolutely. And actually, Jennifer Schaefer was the one. She sent me the email. She said, you know, this going on at the Longhouse? I said, oh, no. And then, and I immediately sent you a note. And because I think it's exciting. It's, like you said, it's a voice that needs to be heard, you know, and like she did have a unique way of putting things, you know, the little blip that I seen. Yeah. So. Yeah,
she's not, she's very wise and very smart, really brilliant person. She's also really funny and really like one of the things that I think happens in the film that I really love is I feel like people kind of fall in love with her as they watch it, and they fall in love with her in the sense of her brilliance and her sort of daring in her life, and also as a thinker. And also she's just really engaging and really can lay it on the line. There's some things in there that I think she gets at. You know, she talks about sort of romanticizing notions of Native culture, and also total lack of understanding of Native culture. And those are things that people talk about a lot, but I feel like she articulates those in ways that I find very engaging and strong.
Yeah, and I know that my wife loves her, and I think that she empowers women very much so. Where you could do this,
yeah.
You know, don't put yourself, like you said, in that box.
Yeah,
you know, because I'm not going to, and you don't have to either.
Yeah.
And I think she kind of portrays that, and she lived that.
Yeah,
you know, and so I think that's exciting for people to witness, because I feel like I'm a witness to anything that's going on, but to witness her and how she brought that to the people, because that's just another aspect of how diverse Native people are, and it's really important for people to understand that. It goes right with what we're talking about with the mascot type thing, you know, that she wasn't in that little box, and she wasn't going to let anybody put her in that little box.
Yeah,
you know, and so I think it's exciting that it's going to be shown here at the Longhouse, and we got a couple minutes. I give you a little chance to say what's on your heart, and again, we can see the film. I got it here in front of me now.
Okay,
it's
great.
Longhouse Educational and Cultural Center, Evergreen State College, 2700 Evergreen Parkway, and there's a little preview, and we can talk about where people can see the preview if you'd like. I can give it's http://vimeo.com, and then you / and it's 76671748, and you can check that out, and how people can get a hold of you and whatever you.
Yeah, and if people want to see the preview and maybe read a little bit more about the film, people can even just Google Paula Gunn Allen, because it will come up pretty much at the top of that, so people can find it that way too if they're kind of just looking for the information. And so the film's going to be this Wednesday at 6:00 at the Longhouse and at Evergreen State College, and it's free. And I really hope people will come and see her. She's, either if you already know her, it will be wonderful to be able to spend some time with her again, and if you don't, it will be a great way to kind of become introduced to her. And
absolutely, and there's also a Facebook page for people to go in, and it's you could just type in Thought Woman - the life and ideas of Paula Gunn Allen, and then you could see those images that we're talking about. They're really beautiful.
They're really amazing.
And, great use of color, sacred geometry. It's they're really sweet.
Yeah, that one in particular. There's two images of sort of depictions of Spider Woman, Thought Woman, that Jade did, her granddaughter, and I really like both of them because one is a little more in a representative mode, and the other one is the last piece that she made specifically for the film, and it's really a stunning piece of work. So yeah, please check out the images as well. And in terms of what the last thing I would want to say about this for me, this has been an incredible labor of love. And I think the honoring of the elders and really recognizing there are so many amazing people that I wish I could make films about, 100 people, because I just really think we have so much wisdom out there, and there's so many people that we can turn to. We don't have to do it alone without sort of that information and those ideas and those thoughts. And so I just really encourage people, if you have anyone that you really admire, contact them, because you never know what's going to happen, because this turned into this amazing experience, and it was all just for taking a chance and emailing this person. So never assume that people that you really admire that are amazing don't, they're not they're in our reach, and they're people that we can connect with, and they often actually really need to hear that their work matters. I think as an artist, I can say that's a hugely important thing to happen. Anytime someone lets you know that you're connecting with them, it's really important. So I really hope people will come and check out the film. And my biggest hope from the film is that people will read her if they haven't yet, because she's really pretty remarkable, and there's just so much there. She's got a lot to offer us.
Well, that's exciting. I hear a collaboration in the future, and so I appreciate you coming in and sharing with us. And please come to the Evergreen State College and enjoy film. And I know that the discussion is going to be amazing afterwards, because one thing that Paula did do is expand your brain. And she's one of those people, because I can relate, like sometimes you have to read 3-4 times because the complexity of the topic. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, like for me, I can only speak for me, some people use the big words, and so I have to go back and then I look at the dictionary and make sure that I'm getting it. And so I think that she was that kind of a person, and very amazing, and I'm excited. I'm real excited for this happening here at the college. So join us. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and it's almost 5 o'clock, and we're going to play a song here. This is KAOS 89.3 FM, and this is Make No Bones About